skills in the financial market. What that sentence means is we do not teach you quantitative skills. We expect you to come into our program already having a certain level of quantitative skills that includes mathematics, statistics, and computer programming. And we teach you how to apply those skills to quantitative finance. You know, how is that applicable to do data analytics in financial markets? How is that applicable in portfolio management? How is that applicable in risk management? So that's what we hope to accomplish. We hope to teach you how to take those quantitative skills that you already have and apply them to a financial services company. So our program is full-time, concentrated, very practical curriculum done in 15 months, which means that we start in September of a year and finish in December of the following year. UCLA is on the quarter system. So our program is comprised of 5 full quarters, except that the summer quarter, there's no classes. It's when you perform your summer internship. We are currently recruiting for what we call the class of 2020, which is the class that graduates in December 2020, and it starts in September 2019. It is not too late to apply. Our third round deadline is April 30th, I believe. Let's double check the website, but there's still time to apply. We do have spots open all the way through the third round. We get excellent applicants all the way through the deadline, so there's no disadvantage to applying in the third round. A little bit more about UCLA Anderson for those of you who are not familiar with our school. So UCLA Anderson School of Management is at UCLA campus. It's part of UCLA, and it is the business school that's part of UCLA, and that's our home over here, this building, this beautiful building that you see in the picture. So UCLA Anderson was founded in 1935. It has an award-winning faculty renowned for research and teaching in very many different areas of business, including finance, accounting, marketing, operations, strategy, economics. We have a very highly selective admissions process for all of our programs. We get way more applications than what we can take in number of students. We have a very successful alumni base of over 37,000 alums that graduated from UCLA Anderson, spread across the globe. We are lucky to be at UCLA. Our campus is beautiful and we have world-class facilities. As I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, we are housed in a top-ranked business school. UCLA Anderson in the rankings is ranked number 7 in the US and number 8 globally by The Economist Which MBA, number 16 MBA by the US News and World Report that just came out this January, number 14 MBA in the US and number 26 globally by the Financial Times survey that also came out in January of 2019. Number 17 MBA in the US by Bloomberg Business Week survey that came out in November of 18. And number 1 best campus environment and number 3 in best classroom experience by the Princeton Review 294 best business schools 2019. You will see that the only rankings that I referred to in this presentation are rankings that rank our MBA program. I do not refer to rankings that rank MFE program because we do not yet have accredited institutions such as The Economist and Bloomberg Business Week ranking financial engineering programs. So we do have a couple of unofficial rankings out there, but you know, it's not as accredited and as tested and as transparent as the ranking for MBA programs that I'm mentioning here, that we are very familiar with their methodology. And by the way, just to tell a little bit more about the quantitative finance environment or programs, there are a number of programs out there. I think in the US, there is at least 30 different quantitative finance programs. We not all go by the same name. So for example, our program is called Master of Financial Engineering. There are other programs that are called Masters in Quantitative Finance or Masters in Computational Finance, Mathematical Finance, Mathematics in Finance. We're all very similar. We're not all the same. All the programs are, you know, different from each other, but we all teach you quantitative finance. So I'm just telling you this to frame who, you know, the other programs out there are, that we're not only comparing ourselves to other methods of financial engineering, but to the whole host of programs out there that teach quantitative finance. But it is very important for you to understand the extent to which we're similar, but also the great extent to which we're all very different. So UCLA Anderson has a couple of different programs: the MBA, the MFE program with 80 full-time students, the MBA program with around 700 full-time students. So it's split into year 1 students and year 2 students, so 350 in each year. FEMBA and NEMBA programs are not full-time programs. They're the executive MBA, and they have 960 students, but those students are only on campus on weekends and evenings or a couple of weeks a year. So they're and we also have another global executive MBA, the GAMBA, and the PhD program with 67 full-time students. A little bit more about Los Angeles, our city. We're very lucky to be in LA. Los Angeles is one of the financial centers of the United States with over 200 financial services firms established here. There's a lot of money managed out of LA. A couple of very big asset management firms are based here, including PIMCO, Western Asset, PEMCO, Capital Group. So some very large asset management firms here in Los Angeles. LA represents the world's 15th largest economy, and California is the world's 5th largest economy. The greater Los Angeles area has around 20 million people, representing 140 countries and speaking 86 different languages, so a very multicultural city. In the city of Los Angeles, I believe the population is around 4 million, but we include this surroundings like what we call greater Los Angeles area in this number here. It is a great place to spend 15 months pursuing your MFE program or to spend your life. We have many students that come here, get their MFE, and then move back to the East Coast to pursue their careers there. That's very doable. We have a lot of placement contacts on the East Coast, but we also have a lot of students that come to our program at in Los Angeles because they want to stay in California. So it's a varying group of varying interests in our group of students. But I just wanted to give you that example because we're not limited to being a West Coast school and only placing students on the West Coast. That is not one of our limitations. Every year we actually place the vast majority of our students outside of the West Coast. But a great place to spend 15 months, high quality of life. The beach is right there. The mountain is right there. That is actually like an actual picture of LA. It's a place that many people fall in love with. What is financial engineering? So we include this slide here because that's a question that we get all the time. So financial engineering is a discipline that, let me see, it looks like I have to mute someone. I'm getting some background noise. Okay, here we go. Let me just mute someone who has just joined us. Yeah, if you have not taken the time to mute your microphones, please do that. When I'm talking, if there's a static from your own microphones, it's very distracting. So please mute your microphones. So financial engineering, it's a discipline that integrates concepts from math, statistics, computer science with finance theory. So we're a hybrid of those 4 fields. Our program is very quantitative. There is a lot of programming in almost every single one of our courses. And it's also very focused on finance. How we're different from an MBA is that if you go get an MBA, you're going to see a little bit of, strategy, marketing, accounting, amongst, negotiations, entrepreneurship. It's going to be a very wide curriculum where you're going to see a little bit of everything. The main difference between an MBA and a Master's in Financial Engineering is that our program is very, very focused on quantitative finance. You're going to see at a table that I have our curriculum that there isn't, probably like no classes that do not have a financial engineering focus. So we're a very focused curriculum, you're going to learn a lot about quantitative finance. So the work of a financial engineer typically revolves around mathematical modeling, a lot of models, a lot of programming. So you're going to do, for you to build the mathematical models that drive decision-making in financial engineering, you're going to have to do research, you're going to perform analysis. typically involved in pricing, selling, trading, and investing in a wide range of financial instruments. So those financial instruments typically include stocks or equity, bonds or fixed income, foreign currencies, commodities, and derivatives, so options, futures, swaps, and etc. So in the simplest terms, financial engineering, it's a field that's very rich, very wide, very different roles. The role of someone in risk management is very different from the role of someone in asset management or portfolio management, and it's also very different from the role of someone in quantitative research. But simply put, one of the ways of describing the work of a financial engineer is that you're going to conduct analysis in order to identify factors that affect prices of financial instruments. So, and once you identify which factors affect the price of a financial instrument, you're going to do analysis to project the future behavior of those factors. And why are you interested in doing that? Because if you're managing risks, you need to know how your portfolio is going to perform. If you want to maximize returns, you need to know how your portfolio is going to perform. So you're going to project the future behavior of those factors, and then you're going to use that projections to price financial instruments and manage your risk exposure. So those strategies really allow investors and traders to achieve, a customized level of exposure to the financial markets. So one simplistic example that I like giving, it's a company that, operates in different countries and has exposure to different currencies. So a company that operates in the United States and in the UK, it's subject, this company is subject to exchange rate fluctuations between the United States dollar and the British pound. So how do you, how do you perform analysis and models to hedge for that uncertainty? So first, you're going to have to identify what affects the prices of those currencies, what affects their relationship to each other. Do interest rates affect them? Does GDP affect them? And once you identify which factors affect them the most, you're going to be able to make an informed decision as to how to best manage that risk. Oh, that's a very simplistic example. The work of a financial engineer, a lot of times you're dealing with multiple variables, and it gets a lot more complicated than that. But I like starting with a simplistic example just to frame the mindset for those who may not be familiar with financial engineering. Okay, why is this not going? Here we go. So typically speaking, our students go to one is called the sales, responsible for creating, selling, and trading financial instruments. And the other one is the buy side. So the buy side, typically companies that manage money on behalf of individuals or mutual or retirement funds and institutional investors. So buy side will include investment firms, mutual funds, hedge funds, insurance companies, high technology firms, foundations, corporations, and governments. So those are companies whose mandate is to manage your money and achieve a certain level of returns for your portfolio. A couple of simple career paths: risk management, portfolio management, corporate treasury management, derivatives valuation, security design and structuring, hedging and replication, and quantitative trading. Our competitive edge. So what makes us different from many programs out there? I really encourage you to do your due diligence, ask questions. Don't just go by, hearsay or websites, or, really contact the staff that manages different programs and ask them all of these questions. But the way we view our program, our competitive edge lies on being part of a top-tier business school. When you're here, there's a lot happening that goes beyond your academic education. There's speaker events, there's investment conferences, there's opportunities to network with professionals and MBAs, there's a lot of speakers that come to campus, CEOs, CFOs. There's a lot going on, and that really complements your experience with us. We have an outstanding finance faculty. Like UCLA Anderson's finance faculty is known for being one of the strongest in the country, if not in the world. And what I mean by strongest is by measuring their intellectual output, so the amount of research that they produce. And they actually teach in our program. They're not only here as part of our faculty, but they are actually tasked with teaching MFE students, and they enjoy that because they can get much deeper into quantitative finance with MFE students than they can with other courses that they might teach at the school. And I hear this from our students and alumni year in and year out, that the quality of the teaching here was, in our program was just amazing. Number 3, our location. As I already said, Los Angeles is not a bad place to spend 15 months. You might even fall in love with it. Our career services track record, our program has been around for 10 years. We have over 500 MFE alums out in the workforce, attesting to our career services track record with how we helped them achieve their career goals. We helped them achieve great placement. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in statistics later on. And that alumni base is, they come back to campus, they participate on panels, they conduct mock interviews with our current students, they bring employment opportunities to us. We are very, very fortunate to have an alumni base of students that came to our MFE program who feel very connected to our program and who really are involved in continuously improving everything that we do. We have a very practical curriculum, and we do that by having both a summer internship and an applied finance project. The applied finance project is the capstone thesis for our program, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on a separate slide. Professionals that are in quantitative finance. Our curriculum, I'm not going to describe each class for you in the interest of time here. I do want to finish on time, but I encourage you to go to our website and read about each course. It is a very balanced curriculum in that, we start with teaching you the basics and get more and more sophisticated as the program progresses. As I mentioned, in this summer, there's no classes, but everyone completes a summer internship, which is a curricular requirement, and everyone starts also working on their applied finance project. We do introduce electives as early as the spring quarter, which allows you to choose which courses you want to take that quarter. In addition to our curricular requirements, we have a number of extracurricular activities. We have financial computing workshops, which means at the outset of the program, we have a workshop in R. We have many career development workshops, how to draft a nice resume, how to draft a nice cover letter, what your LinkedIn profile should look like, and those happen throughout the year, and a number of networking events as well. Our applied finance project, so every graduate program at UCLA has a master thesis requirement, so students need to complete a master thesis in order to graduate, but instead of having you work on an individual, theoretical thesis, we have you work on a very practical one that it's similar to consulting for a company. So you are put together in teams of 4, you're matched with a company who has a real live quantitative finance project for you to work on. It is a great opportunity for students to further develop and showcase their knowledge of quantitative finance, hone your communication skills, and delve more deeply into an area of interest. So what that means is the applied finance project is a great opportunity for you to further dig deep in an area of interest to you, whether it is, machine learning as it applies to portfolio analytics, or fixed income research, but it's really an opportunity for you to tailor your experience with us. In addition to the electives that allow you to tailor what you're going to take, you can also tailor your experience with us by choosing an applied finance project that is aligned with your career interests. And this is also a great talk point during interviews for you to talk to employers. They could say, well, you don't have any interest in research. Why do you want to be in research? You can always refer back to, well, while I was working on my applied finance project, I had to conduct research on, this, and that really sparked my passion in the field. So it really gives you another talking point for you to refer to when interviewing for a full-time job. You are required to interact directly with the clients, allowing an opportunity to gain exposure to potential employers. So yes, many companies that have sponsored applied finance project have had the opportunity to either hire students or to provide them referrals for other jobs that they know about. Projects range from areas including quantitative trading strategies, portfolio management, risk management, hedging, and derivatives valuation. I do have a couple of sample project titles here. I'm not going to read them out to you. I will let you take a look at all of those sample project titles while I take a sip of water. Okay, so you can see very different types of projects. We have another list over here, more projects. So futures price prediction with deep neural networks, futures combos trading, pricing mandatory convertibles, deep learning investment strategy, optimal hedging of credit risk for interest rate derivatives portfolio, the information content of trading activity. You can see we have a great list of projects that comes from a great list of companies as well. Our career services features. So we have 3 staff dedicated to career services. I spend, probably 80% of my time on placement and career advising. So I'm heavily involved in that. And then I have a director of career services, Sheila Benko, who's responsible for all career services programming, like the classes and the workshops and events. And our career services coordinator, Taz Kadernaga, Taz Norton, who is, responsible for helping us arrange all programming for career services. So there's a lot that happens when you're with us. We really have goals aligned with you in that one of our main goals when it comes to career service is to help you achieve your career goals, to help you land your dream job. But, on a fancier way to say it is that our goal is to expand our graduates' abilities to meet the demand for talent in the financial marketplace. So we work with you to design and achieve your career goals, which means that we meet with you one-on-one, both me and Sheila, to talk about what you want to do, what companies you'd like to work for, what you need to do in order to try to achieve that. We talk about summer internships. We have a number of speakers that come on campus, so financial institution seminars, and they come to talk to you about their career or research that they've worked on. And it's a great way for you to network and meet people. We have a number of workshops, seminars, and panels. So we have like alums that come back to campus to perform mock interviews and then, give you advice on how to interview better. A number of workshops, how to network on LinkedIn, how to network in person, how to call people up, how to have a nice resume, how to have a nice cover letter, how to answer behavioral questions like, please tell me, what is your greatest weakness, or what is your greatest strength, or what do you want to work for us? And we also have a number of quantitative interview prep workshops. We provide a total of 16 hours of quantitative interview prep. So how do you answer brain teasers? How do you answer statistical questions? How do you answer programming questions? We have a number of networking events with both employers and alums, and also for yourselves. So we're going to hear a lot about networking when you're here with us. We host what we call Quant Industry Open House twice a year, and that's our own career services fair, where 30 to 40 companies come to campus to participate in our career fair and meet with our MFE students. We do 3 career services orientation trips. They happen over spring break, so they're actually happening this coming week. I am going to be in New York and Boston with a group of 20 students in each city, where we're going to spend 2 days in New York visiting 8 companies and a day in Boston visiting 4 companies. So in New York, we're going to visit Credit Suisse, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Bank of America, Axioma, Bloomberg, Nomura, and I need to remember one. No, eight. Yeah, so I listed 8. And then in Boston, we're going to visit Fidelity, State Street, Bracebridge Capital, and Standard & Poor's. So those trips are great for our students to familiarize themselves with different firms, different areas of finance, different roles. It's really a great opportunity for you to see, companies' offices and meet people and learn about different areas of quantitative finance that they have going on. We host throughout the year what we call quantitative conversations in finance. So that's led by a professor, and it's our way of making you, study some topics that are not included in our curriculum and learn from each other. I think I covered most of what we do for career services, but I mean, there's a lot. But a caveat that I can tell you about career services is that we view this relationship as a partnership. We are not a placement agency. We do not hand you a job on a silver platter. We work with you on achieving your career goals. So there's a lot that is expected of you as well. We do a lot. We provide you opportunities. We bring job opportunities. We bring opportunities for you to network with employer, but it's your responsibility to show up, to impress them, to interview, to do well in your interviews. So this is very much a partnership. We do a lot, we offer a lot, but there's also a lot of expectations of you. Financial institution seminars, so those are the speaker events that I mentioned. So professionals that come to campus to talk to you. Here's a list of people that we've had in the past. I need to move on because it's 4:35 here, and I'd like to open it up for Q&A within the next 5 minutes. So employment statistics, I'm going to talk to you about our most recent employment statistics for the class that graduated in December 2017. So we had 78 graduates, 74 were seeking employment. So it includes 3 employer-sponsored students and a PhD candidate. So that's why you can see only 74 were on the job market. And 85% of students were international, and all 74 students reported info. So that's something that's important for you to know, that, a lot of times, that programs release employment statistics, not all students are included in that. So if they, had like 60 students and only 30 reported and all 30 got a job, they'll say that they were at 100%, but they were at 100% of those who reported. So it's very important for you to also ask that question, who are they including in their statistics? Is it all students? We have every single one of our students report back to us, as you can see on this table. So our employment statistics include every single one of our students. So we were at 60% placement 3 months after graduation. 6 months after graduation, we were at 90% placement. And shortly after that, we were at a 97% placement with an average base salary of $99,200. That is only base salary. I do not include any sign-on bonus in that number or promised performance bonus. That is just, what is guaranteed to you as your base salary that you're going to get on a month-by-month basis. The median was $95,000 with a range of 65 to 165. Average sign-on bonus of $12,000. 31% of our students went to New York. 31% stayed in the greater Los Angeles area, 11% San Francisco Bay Area, 20% other US cities, and 8% other countries. For the class that graduated in December of 2018, the class that I'm currently working on helping place, we had 84 students graduate, and we are currently, so this is the 3-month mark after graduation. We're at 65% placement. We're very happy with the quality of the placement. We have students going to a couple of major firms, and we're going to be releasing our employment statistics within the next few months. We typically release 6 months after graduation, so in June or so. The average salary for domestic students in 2017 was $115,000, so a little bit higher than our average for all students. A couple of companies that typically recruit from us. So AIG, Alliance Bernstein, AQR, Athene, Bank of America, Barclays, BlackRock, BNP Paribas, Bridgewater Associates, Capital One, Citigroup hired 2 people. So that's actually a list of all the companies that our class of 2017 went to. So Ernst & Young, Facebook, Credit Suisse, Goldman Sachs, Google, Alphabet, Grant Thornton, UBS, Thornburg Investment, State Street, SRR, Rothschild Asset Management, RiskSpan, Research Affiliates, U.S. Investors, PwC, PIMCO, Hayden & Ragel, New York State Insurance Fund, MUFG Union Bank, Morgan Stanley, Loan Depot, LA Capital Management, JP Morgan Chase, HSBC, Vanguard, hired 2, Viasat, Western Asset Management, and Wilshire Associates. A couple of sample divisions that our students go to work on. So asset and liability management, complex securities analytics, credit risk, credit valuation and trading, data analytics, derivatives pricing, electronics, trading strats team, equity linked product group, exchange traded funds, fixed income technology group, FX trading, market risk, model risk management, model validation, multi-asset strategic group, portfolio analytics group, private equity, proprietary trading, quality assurance, quant advisory services, quantitative research, REITs, sales and trading, and wealth management group. The class of 2018, the profile, one of the things that I like mentioning when I conduct these info sessions is that our class is very, very diverse, not only from countries represented, which we had 12 in the class of 2018, but also in terms of academic background. We have students coming from engineering, finance, economics, and business, math and statistics, computer science, physics, some biomedical fields. So when you're here, it's a great opportunity to learn from each other. You know, someone is going to be great at programming. Oh, someone else is going to be great at statistics. You are paired. You are formed in teams of 4 that I formed myself, and you work with this team of 4 on your group assignments. We switch teams every 2 quarters, so you get to work with different people. But that's what makes it such a collaborative work environment, in that you have a great opportunity to learn from each other. For the class of 18, we had 88 students starting, 84 graduated, which means that 4 people dropped off after the first 2 quarters, either because the program was too difficult or quantitative finance was not really what they wanted to pursue. We received 735 applications, 22% was admitted. Average age was 25, with an age range of 21 to 45. Average 3 years of work experience. Women represented 34% of the class. The class was 91% international. Very strong GPA average, very strong GMAT average, and GRE, and 28% of our students had CFA level 1 or higher. For admissions requirements, a 4-year degree or equivalent, you do not need to have completed your 4-year degree by the time you apply, but you do need to complete it by September before you come into the program. We look for quantitative aptitude and strong analytical skills. What that means is we look through your transcripts to see how many and which math classes and statistical classes and programming classes you've taken. Degrees are typically from math, statistics, engineering, computer science, economics, and finance and physics. We do look for evidence of computer programming. Our program has been heavily focusing on R and Python over the last 2 years. C++ is still important, but R and Python are really dominating the quantitative finance environment. If you have not had any computer programming classes, you may do an online certificate. We really like the ones provided by DataCamp. We actually work with all of our admitted students on completing a DataCamp skill or career track over the summer in either R or Python. It is a requirement for them to come to the program. So if you have not looked into it, I would encourage you to start learning how to program as soon as possible. If you're coming here and you do not know how to program, you're going to have a real hard time and you're going to fall behind the curve and you're going to struggle, because the program is very demanding, it's very hard, and it's very fast-paced. So you really need to make sure that you're well prepared. We accept either the GMAT or the GRE, one or the other, the TOEFL or the IELTS for international students. Work experience is preferred but not required. We have a lot of employers that like hiring students that had work experience before, and a lot that also like hiring students that came to our MFE program with no work experience. The difference is that typically the ones with no work experience are going to be placed at, you know, an analyst level, whereas the ones with work experience are going to be placed at an associate level. CFA progress is preferred but not required. 2 letters of recommendation, and I encourage you to get them from professionals or professors who know you really well, who have worked with you, and who can talk about your work ethic, your attitude, your quantitative skills. We do ask for 2 essays, very straightforward. One is describe a quantitative project that you've worked on. So we're trying to assess your quantitative skills in that essay. And the other one is why do you want to get an MFE degree and why UCLA Anderson? We do interview everyone who gets an offer of admissions to the program. The interview is done over on-demand video interview. So you get a link where you record yourself answering your questions. If there's one piece of advice that you can take away from this presentation from me is, if you do get an invitation to interview with us, please treat it as seriously as you would a job interview. Present yourself professionally, and above all, do not read your answers. We can tell when students are reading either from a paper or a computer screen. We've been doing this for a long time. We're, you know, very well versed in admissions, and we can tell when you're reading. So please, whatever you do, do not read out your answers. Just be genuine. I think this is my last slide. So program begins in September. Applications available online. The 3rd round deadline is on April 30th. And the fees for the whole program are $75,816 for the class of 19. It is subject to a small increase for the class of 2020. And we do have financial aid available via student loans for international students. It does not require U.S. cosigner. Many of our students get a loan to help them finance their studies. All right, so I've been talking for exactly 40 minutes, just like I said I would. And I'd be happy to field your questions now. So if you have any questions, please start typing them on the chat box over here, and I'll be happy to answer them. There are no bad questions, I swear to God. We are not taking notes on who is asking which questions, so please feel free to ask us anything. Okay, so we have our first question here. If you have an MS in finance, can you apply for an MFE? So we've had students with MS in finance get an MFE afterwards. It all depends on how much overlap there is between the curriculum of your previous master and our curriculum. We are going to look carefully at that. If we see that there is enough overlap, you will not be considered for admissions to our program. But if we see that the programs were very different, we will consider you. So we've had students coming to our program after having an MS in finance. It all depends. And not only us as admissions professionals will look at the overlap, but the graduate division at UCLA, which is the one who officially admits the students into graduate programs at UCLA, they will also look and determine if there's enough overlap or not. So just make sure you take a look at your curriculum of the coursework that you had so far in your MS in finance and try to determine how much overlap there is. I'm also, you know, one thing that I wanted to discuss with you is that we have dedicated teams for admissions that are happy to answer your questions. If you have any questions like that, feel free to send us an email and even send a copy of your curriculum from your MS in Finance. Send it to mfe@anderson.ucla.edu and ask us, you know, I'm considering applying for an MFE, but I have an MS in Finance. Here's my curriculum. Here's my transcript. Will I be eligible? we will help you determine. We will look at your email very carefully, and we will tell you, no, don't apply because there's going to be too much overlap. We are very honest, we're very transparent, and we're here to help you. So, just keep in mind that this is our email address over here. This is my personal email address down here, elisa.dunn@anderson.ucla.edu. So if for more information on questions like that, please feel free to get in touch with us. So let me see, what is the other question? What level of programming is expected you recommend upon entering the program? Very proficient to expert in either R or Python. The students that succeed in our program are the strongest programmers. They're in high demand by employers. They get things quicker in the program. They have an easier time surviving in a program. And yes, I have used the word surviving because that's what I hear from our students, that their program is very, very hard. So the better, the stronger of a programmer you are, the better off you will be, not only in the program, but as a job candidate. So I would say an advanced level / expert is what is expected. Not everyone comes at that level. But then, they struggle in the beginning to catch up. So my advice is come in very prepared. So the other question, currently I am a senior at UCLA studying business and economics, which is a non-quant major. How would I best prepare myself to improve my quant background in order to apply to this program in the future? I'm interested in applying next year. So I believe that at UCLA you can, and I'm not sure at the undergraduate level though, but take a look and see if you can take mathematics and statistics classes at the math and statistics department, and try to take a number of classes that we require, like numerical methods, partial differential equations, calculus 1 and 2. Try to take a couple of statistics classes and probability classes. Look into Data Camp, which is the programming coursework website that I hear our students are very happy with, and that's why I'm comfortable recommending. And, take, like over the summer, if you have time off, take a programming course, get a certificate. That's why we like Data Camp too. They give you a certificate because we want to see proof that you've completed it. So take the time to start preparing now, and that's how you're going to make yourself more interesting to us. So take math classes, take probability classes. If you have an option of even taking it at UCLA Extension, that's an option too, and do some programming courses. But we've definitely had students from UCLA business economics degrees coming to our program. Some of them had a minor in math or a minor in statistics. So that's something that I would encourage you to look into as well. I have an undergraduate degree in sociology, but let me see. I'm going back to school to take higher level math courses such as linear algebra and some programming courses such as Python. Do I still have a chance of getting admitted, or is it required that I have a quantitative undergraduate degree? By all means, if you've done the work to prepare yourself by taking extra classes or going back to school or enrolling in college level classes to take math and statistics and probability and programming classes, you are eligible to apply to our program. We do not look at just solely quantitative undergraduate degrees. Like we've had students come into our program before with a bachelor's in English or a bachelor's in, what is the one that I'm trying to think, biology, biochemistry. So we've had students come from typically non-quant background. We will look at your application. We look at everyone's application very carefully. So if we see that, you have a bachelor's in sociology, but you've taken the courses required to be eligible to be in our program, we will consider you as a very viable applicant. So make sure that, you take a look at our website and familiarize yourself with which courses we recommend, how many. I would say that math, we'll be looking at, at least 3 to 4, and then programming, we're going to be looking at a certificate. And in your interview as well, you're going to have to convey that you have prepared yourself for a program. Is it possible to take the GRE after sending the application? Yes, it is possible, but let's say, you apply by the 3rd round deadline without a GRE, we will only look at your application once it is complete. We will only process your application once everything is in. Your GRE scores, your transcripts, your TOEFL scores. So while it is possible for you to submit the application and say, you know, GRE test score like in progress or something, we will only process your application once it is complete. Okay, so, okay, hi Elisa. While keenly awaiting for the decision release, may I know the latest stats for round one applicants? We're processing applications as we speak. We're still processing round one and round two applicants. My team is the one who do the operational aspects of, processing decisions. So I do not have an up-to-date update for you, and we don't share those statistics anyway, like how many we've admitted or how many are still waiting, how many are waitlisted. So we appreciate your patience in this process. We know that it's frustrating to be waiting to hear back from us, but please be aware that we are focusing all of our efforts right now on admitting people, and we look at all of our applicants very carefully. And I understand that it's frustrating that we can't get back to you as quickly as you expect. So I appreciate your patience. Any other questions? We are almost hitting the 1 hour mark. We have another 5 minutes. I'm happy to hang around for another 5 minutes if there are other questions. If you don't have any other questions and you've gotten all the information that you wanted to know, feel free to leave the webinar. I thank you for joining us today. I hope you found this useful. Any feedback or further information that you want to get, please feel free to write to us. So the question is, I got one more question. What are some specific classes in data camp that admission accept? That's a great question. So I normally tell students to choose, like if you go to data camp, let me see if I can, so if you go to, let me try to pull it up on my iPhone so I can tell you specifically. But if you go to data camp's website, you're gonna see that they have skill tracks and career tracks. And by the way, I have no affiliation with data camp whatsoever. The only reason I recommend them is because that's what my students and alums have said has been extremely helpful in their lives. So if you here, I'm on their website on my iPhone now. So if you look at data camp, you're going to see that they have skill tracks and career tracks. So if you're looking at a career track, they have Python or R. So they have like data scientist with R, data analyst with R, Python programmer, data scientist with Python, data analyst with Python, quantitative analyst with R. Any of those career tracks would be very, very valuable and recommended. So I would say, choose either a career track. And if you look at skill tracks, they're going to have importing and cleaning data with R, data manipulation with R, Python programming. So choose, one or two skill tracks and complete them. So a skill or a career track is going to be various modules, and it's going to take you time to complete. So take a look at that, see how much time you have available, how much time each different career track or skill track is going to require, and choose one that's appropriate for you. But I've heard many of our students did the data analyst with Python or R, or data scientist with Python or R, and we're very happy with it. And our program is very heavily focused on R, but a lot of students are now shifting focus to Python because we're seeing that it's becoming more and more predominant in quantitative finance. So if you have time to do both, that would be phenomenal. If you only have time to do one, my advice is be an expert in one of them, in either R or Python, but do not make the mistake of knowing a little bit of both. Be an expert in one of them and maybe know a little bit of the other, but it's very important that you be an expert in one of them. Okay, if I want to update profile with certificates or verify application material, which email address should I send it to? Yes, please send it to mfe@anderson.ucla.edu, either mfe@anderson.ucla.edu, or either the mfe@admissions@anderson.ucla.edu. They're both monitored by the same team, so whichever one. Sorry that it's confusing, but yeah, whichever one. And you can send any certificates or any up-to-date information that you want us to add to your application. Another question, is the undergrad GPA a key factor to be admitted to the program? We look at applications on a holistic basis, so it's everything. It's your GPA, it's your test scores, it's your professional experience, it's your certifications, it's what type of degree, what type of undergraduate background you come from, which university, what you've done so far. So we look at applications on a holistic basis. Having said that, we do have GPA cutoffs, which is imposed on us by the UCLA Graduate Division. It's not our determination. They tell us, if a student that went to university, X has a GPA below, Y, they are not eligible for admissions into UCLA. So for United States schools, the minimum GPA is 3.0 to be eligible to get into a graduate program at UCLA. For Chinese universities, it is an average of 80. For British universities, it is a minimum of a second high. So it varies from country to country. If you are below our minimum, but we see enough strength in your application, like we love everything else, great test score, great, professional experience, you are still eligible. It's just that we have to make a petition to admit you into the program. So even having, a low GPA, but having everything else very strong, and, we really feel like you can still succeed in the program, maybe you got your GPA, I don't know, you got your bachelor's 10 years ago, and, everything that you've done since then shows that you are a strong candidate. We will still, admit students that are below the UCLA minimum on very, very rare circumstances, but it is a possibility. So that's why I wanted to be completely transparent in my answer. But, we do look at applications on a very holistic basis. So we have hit the 1 hour mark. It's 5 p.m. here in Los Angeles. So I'm gonna let you all go so you can continue with your days or evenings. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. I really hope you found this useful, and we're looking forward to reading your applications.